Welcome to today's webinar. I'm excited to share this program with you. It has done so much for me and my clients, and I'm happy to share it with you today. Have you ever wondered, what if my life doesn't have to be this hard? What if you could solve problems more easily? Difficulties become easier to navigate. You get a better way to do life. Let's take a look at what we're going to cover today. First, a quick introduction. Then it's time to ask yourself some serious questions. We'll take a look at how most of us make decisions and why it doesn't work so well. And the life changes that will happen by changing the way you approach problems. How you can feel more confident making decisions in your life, including decisions that direct you toward the life you really want to be living. I'll show you my system. You can implement this today on your own. Let me introduce myself. My name is Michelle and I'm a psychotherapist. For the last 25 years, I conducted psychiatric crisis interventions and assessments at a major medical center. I treated very ill people who were out of hope and out of options. In the course of my job for that agency, I did a lot of teaching. For the last 15 years, I was also the manager of that program and conducted trainings throughout the state, as well as having a private practice. Now, when you think about where you're struggling in your life or a decision that you're having a hard time making, what comes to mind? Is it a big issue? Like a relationship problem, job difficulties? Or is there a smaller concern that you're facing right now? Like, how do I get everything done today? What if you could solve problems and make decisions more easily? If you could make your life easier? These questions come up for me and my clients regularly. They don't know which steps to take, or they don't know the best option. In fact, it's what drives clients into my office in the first place. They're having relationship problems, for example, and they don't know what to do about it. This is what one of my clients said about today's program. She says, I had been struggling with a big decision about moving into a new home. I was pulling my hair out because the pro and con list were equivalent. I applied this process and made my decision in a matter of hours. This program helped me to understand that the timing was just not right. I am now using this process in many different areas of my life. Thank you, Jen B. So here are some serious questions I want you to ask yourself. Do you find that you're busy in life but not effective? You're doing all sorts of stuff. Your life is full. But are you actually where you want to be? What is limiting you from making the changes you know you need to make in your life? Do you feel like the universe often works against you? What if you could address your problems and make decisions more easily? And if that process helped you achieve what you really want out of life, in living out that life that you only dream about? Think about what you're trying to accomplish. Where is your battle? In your marriage, your job, your finances? Are the steps you're taking working? Or do you find yourself needing a different approach? Have you ever said to yourself, there has got to be an easier way? I'm trying so hard, I'm working so hard, and all I ever do is struggle to get where I want to go? Ask yourself, is what I've been doing working? You know that saying that you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results? Maybe it's time to try something different. Well, big change takes commitment. And to quote Maya Angelou, nothing will work unless you do. This is an investment in your future. Are you serious about approaching your life in a different way? Making the changes that need to be made? Do you want some help with that? Well, here's the thing. The real problem? You're using the wrong part of your brain to solve problems, and you aren't accessing all the power available to you. Approaching difficulties using solely a logical process actually makes more work for you. Being logical in problem solving may seem like the smarter way to do it, but it isn't. In one study of Dutch car buyers, participants were put into two groups. The first took a lot of time to study the information about their various car choices using a more logical approach, and were later found to be satisfied with their purchase only 25% of the time. The second group were buyers who made decisions based on gut feelings, on intuition. They made quicker decisions and were found to be satisfied 60% of the time. That's a huge difference in the level of satisfaction. Is there an easier way? Yes, it turns out there is an easier way, and that is what you'll learn today. With this system, you can feel confident that you are making the best decision for you. You can achieve more peace in your life and struggle less to get the life you really want. In short, life becomes easier. Well, what brought me to this place? I had a good job, good benefits. I loved the work I was doing. I was good at it, and I was comfortable in my position. So what was wrong, you ask? I was not happy. I needed a change, a different direction. I loved the work I was doing, but the job was no longer the right fit for me. And I knew it wasn't about getting the same job at a different company. I needed a system to figure out how to get to the life that I really wanted to be living. So it wasn't just about leaving a job. I was at a crossroad of not being happy where I was at, but not knowing how to get where I wanted to be. How to start living the life I'd been dreaming about. I knew that I didn't need a different job. I needed a different approach. But how does one go about finding that different approach? I knew the kind of life I wanted to have. I just didn't know how to get there. It was my dissatisfaction at my own job and not knowing how to move forward that directed me to create this program. What you're going to learn today is an easy 4-step process that will allow you to tap into a better system. In fact, how to use a different part of your brain when facing adverse conditions. We're also going to look at your relationship to God or any power that you identify with that is greater than yourself. This is about tapping into the energy in the universe, not any particular religion. We're also going to look at your role in the universe and how the universe communicates with you, along with your relationship to control and your relationship to fear. It's those things that will help you in facing challenges. So think about this. If you aren't spending endless hours stressing over what to do about situations in your life, it frees you to focus on more enjoyable aspects. Doing life becomes easier. It takes the struggle out of making decisions. You can be more calm, more peaceful, and realize the universe has your back. What you are viewing today is the entire program. No big tease, no lead-in without a solution at the end. But all the steps explained, including examples of real-life success. Let's get started on the program. When you have a problem that you're trying to solve, your computer breaks, the car gets a flat, the boss calls you in for a meeting, you know what kind of meeting I'm talking about, right? Do you get upset or angry? Ask, why me? Run away or cry? Fall apart? Worry? Or do you jump over the emotional components altogether and go right into problem solving? Do you find yourself thinking about the problem over and over again? Most of us do all or some of this. Let's take a look at a different approach. Scientists believe that between 70 and 90% of our brain function is unconscious. That part above the water, the 10 to 30%, is our thinking brain, our conscious thoughts. Below the water includes a part of our brain called the limbic brain. It involves a more unconscious process. This area of the brain includes intuition, gut feelings, and your conscience. Most of us are only focusing on that smaller part above the water when facing our problems. Basically, we're using the wrong part of our brain when looking for solutions, and we're not tapping into the enormous source of power that exists below the water, so to speak. This is the more effective part of the brain to find solutions to your problems. The concept of the triune brain was originally formulated in the 1960s by Dr. Paul MacLean, a neuroscientist. He concluded that the brain was composed of three main parts: the neocortex, the limbic brain, and the reptilian brain. In the triune brain, the neocortex is responsible for higher cognitive functions, including logical thought, reasoning, and language. Conscious thought. It's often called the thinking brain. The limbic brain includes our emotions, our connection with others, memory, intuition, our conscience, and value judgments. This is also the part of the brain that's engaged when connecting with your spirituality. Have you ever heard of that still small voice? This is where you hear it. The third part of the brain is the reptilian brain. It is responsible for autonomic functions including heart rate, breathing, body temperature, and balance. Think about how much goes on in your body when you aren't conscious or actively thinking, when you're asleep. Not only does your heart keep beating, you keep breathing, and your body functions effectively all the way down to the cellular level. The brain is keeping your body and all its components fully functional. But have you ever woken up with a different perspective on a problem than when you went to sleep? Have you ever said, "I just need to sleep on it," when faced with a big decision? Or realized you found a better approach after a good night's sleep? That's because the rest of your brain did not stop working after your thinking brain settled down. The limbic brain also continues to function. These areas involve intuition, emotions, and judgments. Neuroscientist David Eagleman, a professor at Stanford University, believes the conscious mind, the thinking brain, is often the smallest bit of what's happening in your head. The thinking brain, or the neocortex, is also slower under pressure when we're stressed and can be effectively turned off, leaving other parts of the brain to take over. Think about this. The thinking brain is the smallest bit of what's happening in your head, and it slows down when under pressure. Remember that iceberg we looked at earlier? Let's consider approaching problems by utilizing the subconscious, the part underneath the water, instead of limiting our problem solving to the smallest part of our brain's function. This program is called Just Be. The 4-step program is applicable for both small and large problems. It can be used to address minor annoyances and big life-changing events like problems at work or in your relationships. Here are the 4 steps. Step 1 is be open. Step 2, be bold. Step 3, be still. And step 4, be aware. Don't worry, I'll explain each of these steps in the next few minutes. The first step is be open. This starts with agreeing with or being okay with the adverse situation and not struggling or resisting what is happening. Let's take a look at an example. Imagine you're typing a presentation on your computer, a big, important presentation. Your computer goes blank and just dies. You might say a bunch of bad words, or you might just start with, "No, this can't be happening. I can't believe my computer just died. Ah!" We fight, we resist, we deny it ever happened in the first place. We get overwhelmed with the emotions of anger, despair, anxiety, and fear. And then we jump right into solving the problem with our thinking brain. You might even say, "I don't care how I'm feeling about it. The computer just has to get fixed." Whether you're focused on your feelings or trying to solve the problem, either way, you are doing denial and resistance. If you just jump from resistance to trying to solve the problem, you are only using the neocortex and you are limiting yourself. Remember how much of the brain function is unconscious? 70 to 90%. If you are like most of us, you face a problem by going from denial and resistance to problem solving. We spend a lot of energy denying a situation that has already happened and denying how we feel about that situation. All that pushing away and resistance is not only an energy drainer, but it doesn't help us in getting to a solution. One of the first steps is to accept that the situation exists. How you feel about it, what you think about it, what you plan to do doesn't change the current situation. Hate that you have a flat tire? Pissed off that the computer is broken? Dreading that meeting with your boss? It doesn't change the reality that all those things exist in the current moment. Being open to what is step one. Let's move on to step two. Step two is be bold. State what you need and expect the solution to be provided. In this example, you need your paper written or to have a completed presentation. You may need transportation if your car breaks down, or you need a better work-life balance. Maybe you want to feel more peaceful about a relationship. Don't get caught up in the how you will get what you need. Just identify what you need. This can be clear or may take a little more work depending on the nature of the problem. And as you'll learn going through this program, stating what you need and then letting go of how the solution arrives is key. As you begin to work with me, I will go into much more detail about identifying your needs and figuring out what you're really trying to get. You might think this is easy. I just need $1 million. That would solve all my problems. Interestingly enough, studies have been done about lottery winners and their levels of happiness, which are no higher than before they got the money. That doesn't seem to make sense, does it? In the full program, we will take a much more detailed view at what needs you're trying to fulfill and what feeling you are really trying to satisfy. Let's get back to the 4 steps. We started out by accepting the situation and then identifying what you need and being confident in your assurance that you will get it. We're halfway through the steps, so let's look at step 3. Be still. Allow the universe to work and detach from creating your own solution. This step is not limited to a particular religion. This is about engaging in the power and energy available to all of us. Whether you identify that as the universe, God, a higher power, universal love, spirit, or energy. However you identify that power that is greater than you, this is where you engage that power. Whatever your worldview, you connect with that greater power through your limbic brain. The computer breaks, the tire goes flat, the boss calls you into his office. After you have accepted the situation, stopped resisting, and boldly stated your needs, now is the time to be still. You will find that the quieter you become, the more you can hear, which is step 3. Learning to tame that voice inside your head, that voice that keeps thinking about the problem, is the neocortex. This is the step where we engage the 70 to 90% part of your brain that is unconscious and plug ourselves into the power all around us in the universe. Step 4 is be aware. Be aware of the signs from the universe. Signs can be intuitive leads, a gut feeling, a sixth sense, your conscience, or it can be an actual sign from nature or the universe. A sign like a billboard or an advertisement, a song on the radio, an animal that crosses your path. We've all had these happen, We just don't often put a lot of emphasis on it. Think about when you got a phone call from someone you hadn't heard from in a long time, right after you mentioned their name or thought about them. Or a commercial on TV or a song on the radio somehow talks about the very problem you're dealing with. Or someone is wearing a t-shirt that has a statement on it that coincidentally applies exactly to your situation. The key here is that it will connect with you and you will know in your gut, not in your head, that this is the direction you should go. For example, you may be trying to decide if you should pick up that big project at work for an increase in pay or spend more time with your family. And you see a TV commercial that emphasizes that family is the most important thing, reminding you why you work hard in the first place. The message grabs you. You feel that in your gut, and you know you have your answer. Don't question it. Now is the time to act. These situations are often called synchronicities. This is where you follow the direction. Look for these signs. They are all over. I have much more detail on what certain signs might mean, including what certain animals, numbers, or even aches and pains that you have in your body might be signifying or pointing to. The more you pay attention to this, the more you will find how prevalent those signs are. Let's take a look at a real life example. A few months ago, a client was on her way to an important meeting. It was an interview for a job she had wanted for years. She allowed herself extra time to get there. Google Maps said it would take about 35 minutes. She allowed an hour. Parking was also pretty difficult where she was going. Well, she left her house and turned onto the main street before the freeway. Immediately she hit traffic. This is not where she was expecting traffic. She hadn't even made it to the freeway. When telling me about this day, she shared how frustrated she was that Google didn't tell her about this traffic problem. She jumped right into worry and anger. I can't miss this interview. I can't be late. She was mad at herself. She was mad at the situation. Then, almost immediately, she went into problem solving. She wondered, should I turn around and get on the freeway north of where I wanted to go? Take a side street? Call the person she had the interview with? She did what most of us do. Denial, resistance, anger, anxiety, and then problem solving. These actions take a lot of energy and time. And this is important. She didn't know if she would get there any faster by turning around or taking another street. She didn't know what was causing the traffic. That main street often got backed up when the freeway was especially bad. So getting on the freeway earlier may actually have been worse. Think about the last time this happened to you. How much did this help you in the past? The resistance, the worry, the anxiety, the anger. Did you arrive at that meeting stressed out and frazzled? Angry? Did you get to the meeting faster? You may have happened to pick the right option in retrospect, but you don't know what the right option is at the time. Even if you changed the route you drove, did you arrive in a calm, open state, ready to present your best self at that interview? All that denial and resistance that was going through her head did nothing to change the situation. Lots of energy and worry on her part. But none of it changed how fast the cars were moving down the street. This is a small example, but the same process can be applied to bigger challenges. Let's jump into the 4 steps for this example. Fortunately, my client knows this program, and her little detour of poor problem solving didn't last too long. She caught herself and went right into the 4-step just be process. Step 1 is be open. Accept what exists. Traffic exists. Don't jump over this part. This is the place for getting rid of denial and resistance. Be open to what exists in the moment. We go so quickly to resistance or problem solving that we often don't accept the current situation. What existed at that moment? She's stuck in traffic. It may change soon, but at the current moment, this is what's real. And you need to get okay with it before moving to the next step. It's not the preferred choice, but it is real and it's right there in front of you. She then moved to being thankful for the situation. For her, it was a reminder that she has a better way of addressing a problem. To reiterate, be open to what exists in that moment. Things could change. They could get better or worse, but that's just jumping ahead. Right now, don't resist or problem solve. Step 2, be bold in identifying and stating what you need. This particular example has a concrete need. She needs to get to the meeting on time, and she wants this job. This step is not about figuring out how you're going to get what you need. That takes you back to problem solving using the neocortex. In being bold, proceed with confidence that you will get what you need. Step 3 is be still. This step is about getting out of the neocortex, the thinking brain, and into the limbic brain. This is also where you connect with the power that is all around you. Whatever you connect with that is bigger than you is connecting to you through the limbic brain. Step 3 is about relaxing and letting go with confidence. So she turned up the music, took a few deep breaths, and let go of trying to solve this with a rational approach. Was she sure that staying on that street was the better option? Heck no. She didn't know at that point which was the better option. There were at least 3 different routes she could have tried, but now she's engaging the unconscious part of her brain to help her solve this problem. If you think that jumping into problem solving is always going to get you the best solution, think again. Have you ever tried to pick the quickest line at the grocery store? Are you right every time? And that is when all the facts are right there in front of you. My client is now being still and being aware. She allowed the subconscious to fully engage and the power of the universe to take over, which is step 4. Here is a review of what she did. She accepted the situation, stated what she needed, and then stepped back and allowed the limbic brain to engage and the universe to get working. Now she needed to open her eyes to the solution and have faith that the solution is there. In this example, her intuition told her to stay on the road that she was currently on. She did not feel any pull toward changing her route, and she felt confident the meeting would take place as it was supposed to. So what happened, you ask? She arrived on time. She wasn't stressed out or worn out. She wouldn't have been very good at that interview had she arrived upset and angry. She still encountered a lot of traffic on the drive, but made good time, and she told me about finding a super cool parking spot right up front, and she was able to slide right into it, which had never happened before when she's gone to this parking lot. She had fully expected the universe to provide the solution for her, and it did. Now, this is a very small example. These 4 steps have been used by my clients after ending significant relationships and even during marital issues. And I used it when considering leaving my career. It can be applied to small and large problems alike. This program, it's about choosing to just be. Applying it can help you transform the way you approach your life. Life doesn't have to be such a struggle. This applies to any situation, big or small. Your life can change. I've spent over 25 years working with clients, many of whom were facing big, life-changing problems. This 4-step process has now revolutionized how I work with clients and how they address the situations in their own lives. I want to help you achieve what you want in life, walk you through each step, work with you to help change your focus, help you get over the hurdles. It will take a commitment on your part, as you learn to implement each of the steps. Think about your life right now. What do you want out of life? What if you didn't have to worry so much? If you could struggle less and have assistance when making decisions? How would you feel? How would it affect your life? With this system, you can feel confident that you're making the best decisions for yourself, achieve more peace and confidence in your life, and struggle less to get the results you want. After what I've just shown you, can you see how a proven system could help you to live the life that you always knew you were supposed to live? If so, my goal today is not to sell you on this program. It works, plain and simple. And I bet that if you'd let me consult with you, it could literally change your life, like it did for mine and my clients. So I have a question for you. Are you living the life you know you're supposed to be living? Do you want to start? I know that once my system is fully implemented into your life, you will start living your destiny, know what your path is in life, and find peace inside yourself, and do this with less struggle and worry. Together, we will review each of the 4 steps in depth. We will take a good long look at how to overcome the resistance when facing a problem, how to tap into the power of the universe and find out how the universe speaks to you so that you will know the direction that works best for you. We will also spend time looking at that fear which limits your ability to fully trust or have faith in that universal power. Why gratitude needs to be a major player, and what to do if you get discouraged as you switch over to this new approach. What you get with this program is more than 15 training videos, a deep dive into each of the 4 steps, many real-life examples, simple to follow, easy to understand, individual assistance, live sessions with me, and access to a private Facebook group. The best way to see if my program is a perfect fit for you is to roll up your sleeves, get on the phone, and just walk through it to see how it would work for you. There are a few conditions that you need to be aware of. First, over the next 30 days, I am only working with a small handful of clients. Since I work with you in a live setting, I have to cap it off. Second, I only work with people who think they will see results. You must have what it takes. So I have a simple application process to find out if you're the right person for my training. You need to be coachable, have what it takes to be successful, and be willing to make the changes to get real results. I want you to be my next major client and the next success story. Here's the deal. First, under this presentation, you need to scroll and click on the Book a Session with Michelle button below. When you click on that, it will open a simple calendar that will allow you to grab a time on my personal calendar. There will also be a few questions to answer about your life so I can get a good feel before we hop on our free call together. After you book a time, I will give you a call during your scheduled time to see if we are a good fit to work together. When I do that, one of 2 things will happen. Scenario number 1, this is the most likely to occur. You'll say, wow, this is amazing. I want to take it to the next level. And then we'll talk about what to do next. Scenario number 2, unlikely to occur. You'll say, this just isn't what I thought it would be, and I was hoping for something else. In the unlikely event that scenario number 2 occurs, I'll send you a free copy of this training webinar, and you can still apply this program to your life. So here's what you're going to do next. Press the button below this presentation. Grab a time on my calendar. Once I receive your info, I'll send you a quick email reminder of the time you booked for our call, and I'll call you on that day and time. This offer will expire. Since you get individual assistance, There's a limited amount of time available. And you need to be available for your strategy session when you request it. If you're not, then you'll forfeit your spot to work with me. Which also means that you want to keep struggling and delaying the life you want to be living. This webinar training is getting viewed by hundreds of people over the next few days, and the strategy sessions are only on a first-come, first-served basis. With that said, you and I both know my available time slots will be reserved fast. So you need to grab a time with me right now. Thanks for your time and booking out a time on my calendar. I know you're going to love this. I look forward to talking with you soon.